For 300 years, humanity had been the quiet species of the Galactic Council. They sat in the back rows during meetings. They spoke softly when addressed. They traded fairly and never complained about unfair treatment. The other races saw them as weak, primitive, and harmless. They called them soft creatures. The Empire labeled them cattle with ships. Even the peaceful whispered that humans were simply too fragile to matter in galactic politics. Ambassador had heard every insult. She had smiled through every mockery. For decades, she had represented Earth in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, and for decades she had followed the same instruction from Earth Command. Stay small, stay quiet, let them underestimate us. Nobody understood why, not even herself, until the day the Dominion of Shadows arrived. The Dominion was not like other empires. They did not conquer for resources or territory. They conquered because they enjoyed watching civilizations burn. For 10,000 years they had moved through galaxies like a plague. They destroyed the eternal kingdom of Andros. They erased the machine civilization of the Nexus. They turned the paradise worlds of the Seraphim into ash and dust. Nobody had ever stopped them. Nobody had ever survived them. When their black ships appeared at the edge of Council space, panic spread like wildfire. Emergency sessions were called. Fleet commanders argued about defense strategies. Politicians blamed each other for not preparing. They demanded that every species contribute their full military power. They insisted on a unified command under their generals. And humanity said nothing. Ambassador sat in her usual seat at the back of the hall. She watched the chaos unfold with calm eyes. When the High Commander demanded to know what Earth would contribute, she simply said, "We will do what is necessary." The alien laughed at her. "Your species has 50 ships. 50. We have 10,000, and even that will not be enough. What can your pathetic fleet possibly do?" Did not answer. She only smiled, and that smile made the High Commander uncomfortable in ways he could not explain. The Dominion's first attack came 3 days later. They struck the border world of Prime, home to 8 billion citizens. The Council's combined fleet of 40,000 warships rushed to defend it. The greatest military force ever assembled in galactic history positioned itself between the Dominion and the innocent world. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, 32,000 Council ships were burning wrecks. The remaining 8,000 fled in terror. Prime's shields fell, and the Dominion began their harvest. 8 billion souls screamed as their world died. The Council fell into despair. If their greatest fleet could not even slow the enemy, what hope remained? Species began evacuating there. Some sent desperate messages to distant galaxies, begging unknown civilizations for help. Others simply waited to die. It was during the darkest hour that humanity finally moved. Ambassador stood up during an emergency council session. The hall fell silent. For 300 years, humanity had never requested to speak first. For 300 years, they had accepted their place at the bottom of the galactic hierarchy. "The Dominion will reach the core worlds in 6 days, said, her voice steady and clear. "Earth requests permission to engage the enemy alone." Laughter erupted from every corner of the hall. The Emperor nearly choked on his drink. The High Commander slammed his fist on the table in amusement. "Alone," the Emperor mocked. "Your 50 ships against 2 million Dominion warships. This is suicide, not strategy." "Perhaps," replied, "but if we fail, you lose nothing. If we succeed, you lose even less. Grant us permission and stay out of our way." The Council voted yes, but only because they saw it as entertainment. Let the foolish humans die, they thought. At least their destruction would buy a few hours of time. Earth Command received the Council's approval at exactly midnight, Universal Standard Time. Admiral James read the message in his command center, deep beneath the surface of Mars. Around him, thousands of officers worked at their stations, monitoring systems that the galaxy did not know existed. 300 years of hiding, the Admiral said softly. 300 years of playing the fool. He turned to his communications officer. Signal the fleet. Operation Revelation is a go. Across human space, something extraordinary began to happen. The peaceful cargo ships that had traded goods for centuries transformed. Hidden panels slid open to reveal weapon systems that made Council technology look like children's toys. Colony ships that had carried settlers to new worlds broke apart, each section becoming a fully armed battlecruiser. Mining stations in asteroid belts powered up engines that should not have existed, revealing themselves as mobile fortresses. But the true surprise waited in the deep black, the vast empty space between galactic arms where no civilization had ever thought to look. There, hidden for 3 centuries, humanity's real fleet awakened. 100,000 warships, each one larger than anything the Council had ever built, each one carrying weapons based on physics that alien scientists had declared impossible. They had been constructed in secret, crewed by volunteers who had lived their entire lives in the darkness, waiting for this moment. Admiral boarded his flagship, the UES Unconquered. As his fleet began its journey toward the Dominion, he broadcast a message to every human in the galaxy. For 300 years we have been patient. We have been laughed at, dismissed, and ignored. We let them believe we were weak because weakness is the greatest disguise. Today the disguise ends. Today we show the galaxy what humanity really is. Not victims, not cattle, not soft creatures waiting to be conquered. We are the species that climbed out of the mud, split the atom, and reached for the stars. We are the species that refused to die no matter how many times the universe tried to kill us. And today, we are the species that will teach the Dominion of Shadows the meaning of fear. The Dominion fleet was positioned near the nebula, preparing for their final push toward the core worlds. 2 million warships hung in formation, their commanders confident of victory. They had crushed the Council's best. What remained posed no threat. Then the human fleet arrived. The Dominion sensors detected them first. Officers looked at their screens in confusion. The readings made no sense. 100,000 ships, each one radiating energy signatures that exceeded anything in their databases. Their computers classified the threat level and produced a result that had never appeared before: unknown danger. The Dominion commander, a being known as the Void King, felt something he had not experienced in 10,000 years of conquest. He felt uncertain. "What species is this?" he demanded. "Humans, my lord," his officer replied. "According to Council records, they are a primitive species with minimal military capability." The Void King studied the approaching fleet. Those ships did not look primitive. Those ships looked like nightmares given form. "Destroy them," he ordered. 500,000 Dominion warships surged forward to meet the human advance. It should have been an overwhelming force. It should have crushed the humans in minutes. The battle lasted approximately 47 seconds. The human ships did not fight like Council vessels. They did not trade volleys at long range. They did not maneuver for position. They simply advanced, and everything in front of them ceased to exist. Weapons that bent space itself tore Dominion ships apart. Shields that had never been breached flickered and died under energy beams that burned hotter than stars. Missiles phased through solid matter to detonate inside enemy reactors. In less than a minute, 500,000 Dominion warships became 500,000 fields of debris. The Void King watched in horror. In 10,000 years, no enemy had ever destroyed so many of his ships so quickly. In 10,000 years, no enemy had ever made him feel afraid. "All ships," he commanded, his voice shaking. "Attack together, overwhelm them with numbers." The remaining 1.5 million Dominion warships advanced. Every gun, every missile, every weapon they possessed fired at the human fleet. Space itself seemed to burn with the fury of their assault. When the fire cleared, not a single human ship had been damaged. Energy shields that glowed like captured starlight had absorbed everything. The human fleet had not even slowed down. Now the humans attacked. Admiral gave a single order: no mercy. What followed was not a battle. It was an execution. Human ships carved through the Dominion formation like sharks through fish. Weapons that should not have existed erased warships by the thousands. The Void King's flagship, a vessel that had conquered entire galaxies, lasted exactly 12 seconds against the unconquered. In 1 hour, 2 million Dominion warships were destroyed. Every single one. The greatest military force the galaxy had ever seen was reduced to atoms and memories. The Galactic Council watched the battle through long-range sensors. They watched in absolute silence. No one spoke, no one moved, no one breathed. The species they had mocked for 300 years had just destroyed an enemy that their combined might could not slow. The species they had called weak had revealed power beyond anything they had imagined. The species they had treated as nothing had been hiding everything. Ambassador stood before the council the next day. The hall was silent as a tomb. Every representative stared at her with new eyes. Fear lived in those eyes now. Fear and terrible respect. Humanity apologizes for the deception, said. For 3 centuries, we hid our true capabilities. We let you believe we were weak because we needed to know if this galaxy deserved our protection. We watched how you treated those with less power. We watched how you laughed at the helpless and dismissed the humble. She paused, letting her words sink in. Many of you were cruel. Many of you were unkind, but you were never evil. You built civilizations and created art. You explored the stars and sought meaning in the universe. You were flawed, but you were not beyond redemption. The council listened in stunned silence. The dominion of shadows is gone. They will never threaten this galaxy again. But we want you to remember something. We could have let them destroy you. We could have watched from the shadows as your worlds burned. We chose to save you, not because you deserved it, but because we hoped you could become better. Ambassador turned to leave, then stopped at the door. Humanity will continue to sit in the back row. We will continue to speak softly and trade fairly. But never forget what you witnessed today. Never forget that the quiet species in the corner was never weak. We were waiting. We were watching. And we were always ready. She walked out, leaving the council in silence that would last for hours. Across the galaxy, trillions of beings looked up at the stars that night. They thought about the strange, soft creatures from Earth. They thought about 300 years of mockery and dismissal. They thought about the moment when humanity had revealed its true might and the galaxy had forgotten to breathe. History would remember that day forever. It would be taught in schools and written in sacred texts. It would become legend, then myth, then something almost divine. The day humanity stopped pretending. The day the galaxy learned to respect the quiet ones. The day everything changed.